It was a back and forth game between Australia and Argentina in Parramatta. My name's Mark, let's talk rugby. First off, apologies for the lateness of this video. It's because I didn't get to see the game live yesterday and I could only get to watch a full replay today. I don't like doing reviews based on highlights because I feel like, highlights don't really give you the flavour of what actually happened in the game in terms of momentum swings and close calls and that kind of stuff. So on with the game. Argentina were looking very dangerous early on. We have a Cinti break that gets them into the 22. Then they put a kick through, goes over the try line. There's a bit of a scramble to get to the ball, but Tom Wright gets there first under pressure. It looks like it's going to be a dropout to Australia, but then we have a Timo check and they determined that there was an overarms tackle earlier in the move, so it's actually a penalty to Argentina. But takes a penalty. It looks fairly kickable for him. He's normally decent from the tee, but he actually hits the right hand upright and it was almost straight in front. Very poor kick to start the game. Then they win a penalty and they're able to clear. They then go to the maul from the line out, which makes pretty good ground up to about halfway, and then they manage to spread the ball. They win another penalty. There's a quick tap in the middle of the pitch from Nawaka, and they break up the middle of the field. Managed to recycle the ball then on the edge of the Argentina 22. You have a nice miss pass from Cooper out to Corambetti on the wing. He pops it inside then to Ikitau, who goes over in the corner. There was some talk of a no-arms tackle and whether he got the ball down, etc. Timo checks, confirms that there was at least an attempted wrap from the Argentinian, and we also see that he gets the ball down, but Ikitau doesn't seem to be right after that, and later on in the game he goes off injured. But on-field decision was no try. Timo check, as I said, confirms that he got it down on the line. Cooper converts from the touchline and it's 7-0 to Australia. Argentina then have a period in possession. They're probing for gaps in the defence, but Skelton manages to get over the ball and win a penalty for Australia. Probably one of the better performances we've seen from him in green and gold. Still nowhere near what he does for La Rochelle, but certainly a step up from last week. Nawaka then gets caught high by Juan Martín Gonzalez, and it's a penalty. Cooper slots that 10-0, and at this stage Australia are looking good. They then lose Len Ikitau, who goes off injured, so that was about 17 minutes or so. Gordon comes on for him and he goes into the centres. That's normally not a place that you would, normally you'd see him maybe at 10 or maybe covering on the wing or full back, something like that. Argentina then have another period of possession inside the Australian half. Twice Australia managed to turn the ball over, but Argentina immediately, like the next breakdown in play, they turn it back over right away. They force a penalty and Voxel slots this one. It's 10-3. Argentina then win a penalty at the first scrum of the game. James Slipper goes to ground, and then after that Argentina win a second penalty at the breakdown and decide to kick it into the corner. They're camped on the line. They've got penalty advantage beginning to stack up, but De La Fuente gets over to score. Voxel conversion then squares the game up at 10-all. Argentina then come back on attack, but a pass goes to ground. Carter Gordon does really well to scoop the ball up on the run. He breaks down the left wing, but he can't outpace Cinti, and he can't find any support. Like there is somebody maybe like 10 meters behind him trying to get there to support, but he just can't. So he gets put into touch, and it's maybe about 10 meters short of the line. Australia then win a scrum penalty around about halfway. Cooper puts in a great kick right into the corner, but Argentina legally sacked them all. Legally, not illegally. Legally sacked them all, and they get a turnover from that. Then they kick up the field. They go for attack off a line out. It's on the 10-meter line. They get Isgro in behind. He's close to the line, but he passes straight to Gordon. And once again, goes to ground. Argentina turn the ball back over. They then go out wide to the right, but they can't get the ball out there fast enough because they've got a massive overlap, like 2 or 3 players out there. But by the time they get there, the Australian defence has drifted, so they come back in field instead to get right up to the line. Australia then concede a penalty. Arnold gets himself a yellow card for that, and it's like the final minute of the half. Argentina then opt to go for the scrum to try and tie in, those Australian forwards and just create space for them to possibly get over to score. They get held up just over the line, but we come back because they had a penalty advantage. They opt to go for another scrum. This time, though, Australia win the penalty at the scrum. They had Holloway in the second row and Corambetti packing down at flanker, and halftime score is 10-all. Felt like that was a big miss for Argentina there. Really great chance for them to get themselves ahead. Into the start of the second half then, Argentina, they attack from a 10-meter line out. They put it out to the backs. De La Fuente, he gets close. Then they decide to go wide out to Isgro. Looks like he's going to go over to score, but we have great covering tackle from Tom Wright. Karevi's attempted tackle was a little more dubious. Luckily, he didn't make contact because it didn't look like he was going in with any arms. But Isgro kind of gets spun around in the tackle, and he's trying to kind of reach back behind himself because he's facing his own try line. So he's trying to reach back around to place the ball on the try line, but he just can't do it. And then he gets kind of dragged over the line or pushed over the line, either one, but he gets held up anyway. We then though come back for a penalty advantage. Argentina go to the opposite corner. They go to the forwards this time. Montoya peels off the back of the maul. He stopped just short. They then recycle a few more phases. Montoya pops up at the back of a ruck again, and this time he's able to get over right just to the right of the post. The conversion makes it 17-10. Argentina hit the front. Matera then is pinged for playing white off the ball, and Australia kick their penalty into the corner. They go to the maul. They're making good ground. Argentina very cynically come in at the side. Australia tried to go out to the back with advantage, but can't do anything with it, so we come back for the penalty. Australia this time opt for the penalty in the shadow of the post. White snipes and he goes over. Basically what happened was Australia from most of the game, other than that kind of slip from slipper in the first scrum, have been on top in the scrums. So Argentina have had to keep their flankers in to make sure that they're not conceding penalties. And while they're kind of head down, White can just snipe around the side and go over to score. Cooper adds the extras and we're 17-all tied up again. But Felly then puts Argentina back in front with a long-range penalty. Australia conceding a penalty at the breakdown there, and it's 2017. We then have a scrappy period of play, which actually ends in a scrap from both teams. Pretty much a bit of handbags, like two teams piling in, not really much going on, but Moroni started the whole thing, but then Valentini, his actions get him penalised because basically he escalated it, so the penalty gets reversed in Argentina's favour. You can see Eddie Jones then in the coach's box, not happy with it, rips his headphones off and just throws them on the table. From the penalty, Argentina, they're able to work their way up to the 22. They're camped inside the Australia half now. They're creating chances, but also the Argentinian crowd are creating one of the best atmospheres I've heard in a rugby championship game in a while. Normally, for me, like rugby championship games are kind of stale because it's just kind of a DJ or whatever PA guy playing the music and stuff, and not really the crowd generating atmosphere, but the Argentinians really were doing it in this one, and it was great to see and great to hear. From here then, Matero Carreras managed to exploit a mismatch. He gets himself outside of Parecki, breaks the line and goes over to score. It's converted from out wide and it's 27-17 with just 10 minutes left on the clock. Australia, though, hit back right away. Angus Bell, great carry, drives him up the middle of the pitch. Cornbetti gets outside of the Argentina defence, puts the ball back inside to Cooper. He steps, gets close to the line, offloads to Karevi, who goes over to score. Cooper then converts and are 27-24. Australia really back in it, and it's been such an exciting game, backwards and forth between the two teams. It's been great to watch. We then have a mix-up between Gordon and Wright, and it allows Argentina to threaten the Wallaby line, and they're basically looking for the score to seal the game. Basically, Gordon tried to go quick from a throw. He gave it to Wright. Wright tries to pass it back to him. It goes to ground. Argentina hack it through. Then they're right on the line, and it looks like maybe they're going to get over. But then Nawaka Nitawase picks off Sanchez's pass and goes the length of the field to score. Cooper converts this one, and we're 34-27. Australia leading with just a couple of minutes left on the clock. They just got to see out time, and this is going to be a win for them. But then we have a late tackle from Karevi, and that allows Argentina to kick to the corner and go in search of the score that would win it for them. Instead, they go to the maul, and then after that they pick and go right up to the line. Gonzalez then gets himself over to the side of a ruck. Australia tried to hold him up, but he got the ball down. Australian commentary team not happy about it. They're saying, we might have been held up. Why did they not go to the TMO to check, etc., etc.? But it's the same commentary team that if you watch enough of Australia's game, you hear these same guys complaining about the TMO interfering too much. So it's kind of poetic justice to hear them complaining about the TMO not interfering for once. But the conversion then makes a final score of 34-31, a great Argentina win in that one. Now let's have a look at some of the stats from the game. So first of all, on attack, so 4 tries each, so both get a bonus point out of the game. Australia's bonus point won't really matter that much, other than making sure that they don't finish on 0 points. I think they're going to probably finish on 2 or 3. At the moment, they got 2. They might get 1 from the New Zealand game. Meters carried then 440 to 358. So Australia making, a lot of the meters with ball in hand, and then you can see their meters per carry were certainly a lot higher as well, because they only had 79 carries to Argentina's 151. So it means Australia carrying for over 5 meters per carry, while Argentina pretty much half that at probably about 2.5 meters per carry. So Australia making the most of the carries when they get them, but 2 very different styles of play in terms of holding onto the ball. Beat the same amount of defenders though, 19 each. Clean break 7 for Australia, 4 for Argentina. So Australia's clean breaks, the 2 that really stood out for me was the one for Karevi's try, and then the Carter Gordon one that he got chased down by Sinti. Passes then 102 to 184. So Argentina preferring to hold onto the ball and keep it tight a little bit more. Offloads 11 to 4. Probably the most influential offload of the game came from Cooper for, again, that Karevi try. Some of the offloads, you see Australia doing a lot. Just kind of, if they think they're going to get isolated, they just kind of chuck the ball out the back and hope that somebody gets it. So it's not really an offload that gives them any go forward, just kind of delays the point at which the move breaks down, really. Turnovers conceded 15 to 12. Onto defence then, tackles 200 for Australia and 80 for Argentina. So Argentina are really making Australia work in defence by making, 2.5 times more tackles as them. Missed tackles though 19 each, so Australia pretty decent return on their defensive efforts. Turnovers 1, 2 for Australia, 8 for Argentina. As I mentioned, Argentina, every time that Australia managed to turn them over, just turned them right back over, and they really were on top at the breakdown. Kicking then, kicks and play 13-20. The kicking strategies from both teams was kind of, keeping the ball in hand first, and then when they run out of options, kicking it. We had very little kind of kick tennis other than kind of the period where it kind of went scrappy, and then we had the free-for-all conversions for each. Didn't really matter that much. Cooper got all of his kicks, and in the end, the one kick that Argentina missed didn't really matter from that penalty from Buffelli at the start. Breakdown then, Rooks won 49-114. So again, you can see that Argentina really very much on top there. Rooks lost 6-2, and then Rook percentage 89.1, which is okay. Normally you'd expect that to be somewhere at least in the mid-90s. And then Argentina 98.3 is excellent. Mauls won 6-7. Both teams got some go forward from the Mauls during the game, but neither really on top in that area. Neither really saw it as a weapon for them. Lineouts then 10-11, kind of pretty much going to the team throwing in. Australia had, one that went a little bit awry, but 90.9 and 100%, both decent returns there. Scrums won, just 3 for the Wallabies and 7 for Argentina, but no doubt that Australia were much the stronger scrum. Scrums lost, just 1 from Argentina and none for Australia, but yeah, Australia definitely on top in that area. Sometimes I talked about it in the build-up to last week's games, actually. Sometimes we have this kind of impression of Australia always being a poor scrummaging nation and Argentina always being strong, but we kind of forget that because in the Northern Hemisphere, maybe we don't watch these teams as often as people in the Southern Hemisphere do, that things change, and that, those haven't been true for a long time. Australia have really improved their scrum, and Argentina's scrum has steadily declined as they've kind of shifted away from being kind of a 10-man rugby team and brought more variety to their game. So no real surprise if you've been keeping tabs on both teams' scrums that Australia were the stronger scrum in that game. In terms of discipline then, 14 penalties conceded for Australia and 10 for Argentina. 1 yellow card for Australia that Arnold won just before half time. So in terms of both teams from here, so I think both teams definitely improved from last week. They were both pretty dire in the first round, so it wasn't hard to get some kind of improvement. Part of that obviously down to them fixing the issues that they had in their respective opening round games, and part with due to the opposition they were playing as well. But how much of each remains to be seen. We may see that in the build-up to the Rugby World Cup. Argentina get themselves a valuable win that they can build up heading into that Rugby World Cup, and a performance against South Africa will really add to that. A win would probably see them finish second in the Rugby Championship. Australia, by contrast, now have New Zealand twice and then France. Without, if they win any of those, it's going to be a massive shot in the arm for them. Otherwise, it's going to be a run of 5 defeats and just 1 win in 9, ahead of a tricky Rugby World Cup opening game against Georgia.